Shalom and welcome back to Zalem Elohim Ministries. It's a pleasure to have you back. And this video is going to continue our series on biblical prophecy with the book of Daniel, and more specifically Daniel chapter 7. So without further ado, let's get into it. I will start with reading the passage and then we'll talk about it and break it down further. This is chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed when he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. It had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. And after this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and beheld there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued, and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke, I beheld even until the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and beheld one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, in his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them who stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even ever and ever, forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, broke in pieces, and stomped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom fell 3, even of the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the kingdom came, that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations troubled me much, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So this is very similar to the previous vision we talked about from Daniel chapter 2, where there is a statue, and the statue contains 4 sections. I'm not going to go through the 4 sections again. We see these 4 sections reflected in this set of visions that Daniel had. The difference is that he sees 4 different beasts instead of 1 statue. So this passage starts off, talks about the 4 winds of the earth, which in Scripture refers to the 4 directions of the winds, and it refers to all the earth, the entirety of the earth. These beasts arise from the sea, and the sea in ancient Near East thinking refers to a sea of people. It also refers to chaos, or to the primordial abyss as well. And so we see these beasts rising out of the nations. It's the interpretation of why a sea is mentioned here. So these are going to be gentile goyim powers that are going to arise. They arise out of the Great Sea. Actually, the term Great Sea is Mediterranean, where all of these empires would have been based around. And so there is, that is actually the term used, is Great Sea. And so the beasts that we're going to talk about, again, arise from Gentile kingdoms. As we previously discussed, these are Gentile world powers that are going to arise. There are 4 beasts. Again, these are the same 4 beasts as the statue in Daniel 2. So the first one we see a lion with eagle's wings. This beast swiftly comes to power. This is why there is eagle's wings that are included with it. And we see these wings are taken away, and the beast stands up like a man. So this is the Babylonian Empire. And of course, Nebuchadnezzar was humbled, which is recorded in other parts of Daniel, where he was humbled by Hashem because of his pride and because of his arrogance. So this is reflected in the beast of the lion with eagle's wings. Then the next beast that arises is the bear. This bear has 3 ribs in its mouth and is raised up on one side. This beast represents Media Persia. And it is raised up on one side because the Persian Empire, Persian part of the Medo-Persian Empire, was stronger and more important than the Medes, who were the junior partner. And this beast is told to devour much flesh. And so after the Babylonian Empire arose, we see that the Medes and the Persians, the Persian Empire, arises as a global power. Of course, while the Babylonians took the people of Judah away to captivity, the Medes and the Persians allowed them to return, and so this is the empire under which Cyrus and subsequent kings of Persia allowed Jerusalem and the temple to be rebuilt. And so this is the same kingdom. This is the kingdom which is represented by a bear. Then we see the third beast, a leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads. And this beast represents Greece. After the Medes and the Persians, the Greek Empire became ascendant under Alexander the Great, and he conquered much of the known world at that time, including the entirety of the Persian Empire. And like Babylon, his rise to power and the rise of the Greek Empire was very quick. But this beast, of course, has 4 heads. And the 4 heads that this beast has represent the fact this kingdom was divided into 4. So you have the Babylonian Empire that brings Judah into captivity in Babylon when God judges them for their idolatry. You have the Medo-Persian Empire that takes over from the Babylonian Empire, which is in many ways kinder to the Jewish people, it allows them to return to the Holy Land, allows them to rebuild the temple and rebuild Jerusalem. And then you have the Greek Empire. The Greek Empire, shortly after Alexander was ascended to the throne and commenced his conquering of the world, he dies, and dies at a young age. I believe he was 27 when he died. He was very young, so he did not reign very long. What happens is that after that happens, his kingdom was divided in 4 for each of his 4 generals that had ruled with him. And so we see the Greek Empire is then divided into 4. As it concerns the Holy Land, we have the Ptolemies and the Seleucids that compete for domination of the Holy Land, and often in other parts of Daniel you will see that referred to as the King of the North and the King of the South. Some Bible teachers will talk about how the King of the North and the King of the South reference the end times, and that's actually a mistake. That's not true. The King of the North and the King of the South refer to the Ptolemies and the Seleucids, and we should not expect that is going to recur in the end of days. The Ptolemies and the Seleucids did compete exactly as outlined in the book of Daniel for the time when they were ascendant. And Daniel records a pretty detailed account of how power between the Ptolemies and the Seleucids went back and forth, which can all be referred to historically as having happened. And so that is not something to come. Of course, at the end of that period of time, you have, and this is talked about in the book of Daniel, I believe we may be getting to that soon, actually, in another video. But you have, of course, the rise of this king that oppresses the people of Israel. And this, in fact, happened under Antiochus Epiphanes. And this was near the end of the Greek Empire, the Ptolemies and the Seleucids. And, of course, the result of this attack by Antiochus on the holy people, on the people of Judah, is that there was a 3.5-year persecution which led to the revolt by Judas Maccabee. And the Jewish revolt led to a brief period of independence. And this, of course, is celebrated by the holiday of Hanukkah, a feast of dedication. And so this is actually something that happened prior to Messiah Yeshua. And this event is not the fulfillment of the passages about the Antichrist or the man of sin, but it is a forerunner of it. There are aspects of this particular event that we can look to as things that will happen again in some form. So, the Feast of Hanukkah as well as the Acts of Antiochus Epiphanes do point us toward what is going to happen in the end of time, but that's not the fulfillment of those verses.